We have a free live training coming up on June 15th, and I think a lot of you are going to want to be there.
It's called Stop Starting Over, Why Your Planning Keeps Falling Apart.
If you've ever set up a system, felt good about it, and then watched it slowly fall apart.
Oh, this is a conversation that explains why that keeps happening.
Not just what to do differently, but what's actually been getting in the way.
Once you see it, it changes how you think about planning entirely.
It's free. It's live. It's June 15th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern.
You can register at takecontroladhd.com/GPS. That's takecontroladhd.com/GPS.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on True Story FM. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm here with Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Pete Wright.
Oh, Nikki, how you doing?
I'm
feeling
good.
Strong? Kung
I
Fu
am.
is strong. A little member pre-show, open with some laughs about how I didn't write a story about destroying your home.
Right. Thank you for that.
Surely didn't
But
happen.
actually, you did.
Actually, I did, and it's terrifying. And sometimes catharsis is important. And so become a member, and you'll be able to hear all about that stuff. Before I tell you about the plug stuff, though, we're talking about what it means to be good enough with ADHD today. And when we first put the outline or the editorial calendar together for this season, I thought, well, that's near the end of the season. It'll be kind of a toss-up. And then it turns out there's a lot that goes into the emotional undercurrent of what it means to be good enough with ADHD. Oh, goodness. So
heavy
I
word.
am, heavy
two words. Yeah.
Phrase.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk all about that today and try to untangle the knot of feelings that come with what it means when you say something is good enough. Before we do get into the show, check out Patreon. That is the next step if you are a regular listener to the show, and it is a huge, huge help to us. The deal is, for you get early ad-free access to every episode of this show. You get access to the member-only channels in Discord. You get a seat in the live stream recording session where you can watch the show live and ask questions directly to us and our guests as we chat. Plus, we throw in special events all along the way, and you get to join us for events across Discord and beyond throughout each month. But honestly, the thing we hear people talk about the most is the community itself, a group of real people all supporting one another, all living with ADHD. And if you have ever wanted to be more than just a listener or are looking for the community of people that feels just like you, this is where it happens. Patreon.com/TheADHD podcast. Patreon.com/The ADHD podcast. That's where you can learn more and join us. Of course, if you're not ready for that, that's fine too. You can find us at TakeControlADHD.com, connect with us on socials, join the Discord, and sign up for the weekly email. We would love to have you wherever you land. All right, Nikki, good enough. Good enough.
Yes.
What does it mean to say that when we hear good enough with ADHD?
That's what we're going to talk about, right? Because what does it mean? And it's a hard phrase to wrap your head around, because I think you feel like, well, does good enough mean I'm settling? Does it mean that I'm not trying as hard? Does it mean that I'm giving up on something? Especially for those who tend to see themselves as more perfectionists, that could be a really hard thing to kind of wrap their head around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we hear it, but we also get that message of, well, good enough. I mean, I say it all the time, like, good enough is progress. Good enough is enough. Like you can leave that now, like, but yes, what does that mean? And I see here that our historian of our show here, Pete Wright, I'm going to call you the or not the historian, because I say this is the history. I see the history of good enough is enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the researcher of this crew. You are
Well,
researching things left and right.
I did. I stumbled on a thing. And I think this is actually fascinating because you're right. We hear this term often and we hear it across, fields and sectors, right?
Right.
What is the minimum viable product, right? What is the bare minimum you can do to pass whatever expectation is set for that thing? And done is better than perfect. Perfect is the enemy of good, right? All of these things are here to inspire motion, right? Just get you out of
Yeah.
the cruft. But it's evolved, and it turns out good enough is enough is attributed to pediatrician D.W. Winnicott. Good enough mother was
Oh,
the work that D.W. Winnicott had produced from 1953, and it was really targeted to strung out moms to tell them to let go of perfection in caregiving,
that
that
is
kids are
so
resilient,
interesting.
right?
Wow.
Right. I find that so fascinating that phraseology, right? That identity has evolved from language that was a nod to taking care of our most vulnerable selves, right? And so that's the 1953 we've been selling that bit. And I think back then, this is one of those great examples of back when a message really hit home for the right audience,
Hmm.
and it has evolved to the point of allowing us to be aware and critical and suspicious and all of those emotional flickers that we get when we hear that related to us.
Yes.
But good enough mother, D.W.
That's so
Winnicott.
interesting. That's so interesting. And
Yeah,
still true today.
right.
Right? Very much so. Well, I think from the ADHD perspective, especially, I think one of the reasons that makes it so difficult to wrap our heads around this is the all or nothing thinking
Of
that
course,
we,
yeah.
so easily fall into. And it's just for those who are not sure what we're talking about when we say all or nothing. It is that. It's like it's either going to be great, it's going to be A plus work, or it's an F. There isn't any in the middle, right? Like there is no D, C, B, like it's just one or the other. If I can't do it right, I'm not going to start it. If I can't do it right, even the point? Like there is no point to this. And so it's the standards, the expectations can be really high, which is actually deceiving, um because who are we comparing ourselves to, right? Like
Hmm.
we've talked about that before too. It's like where's the they, who are those people that are grading us, for
It
example.
spins off what we were talking about last week, right? Which
Yeah.
is this idea that the people who are judging us, the people we're waiting for those permission slips
Right.
from, are people who don't exist, people who aren't thinking about what we're doing at any given time, or they're people that are us with unreasonable standards for ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm. And one of the things that we've talked about with Dr. Karush Dini, which was really a transformation podcast for myself,
Yeah.
was the task getting visited, like what it means to visit a task. And this comes to that, what is good enough. And when we're in that paralysis of all or nothing, the visit is something that can kind of open that door, right? Because when you're in that thinking, it feels like you have no options or you just
Hmm.
really can't do it. You physically cannot get yourself to open that email or whatever it is. And the task getting visited, it opens the door. And what we want to do is kind of like try to keep it open without it getting slammed shut again in that paralysis, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to remember that the insight around the task being visited is that just opening something, starting something, circling back to it, that matters. The brain sees it as evidence of failure when it's actually evidence of trying. We think we're not doing enough by just visiting the task, but we are. It's evidence that you are still in it and you're breaking free from that all or nothing thinking.
I think addresses the complexities of being human, right?
For
That we
sure.
have to live in this space where we have to keep moving things forward that are responsibilities that sit squarely on our shoulders. And we
Mhm.
recognize that things are hard. With ADHD, they're hard. And also, we have to allow ourselves the permission not to fixate when we don't have the attentive tank to
Mhm.
actually fixate. And sometimes saying good enough, you know, you hear it, and somewhere in your body there is this like real somatic response, right? It may look like relief, it probably looks like resistance, it's maybe both. And that good enough phrase, we want it to sound like permission to be human, but not permission to let you off the hook for the responsibilities that are yours and yours alone.
Mhm.
And also not accusing you of being the thing you've been accused of all your damn life, which is not trying hard enough, not
Enough.
caring
Yeah.
enough, but settling for less than. And
Yeah.
all of those concepts we own. We
Right.
have to sit with them at the same time. And choice to choice, context to context, our success at living in our skin is made up of the tiny choices
Mhm.
that allow us to move one thing forward. And I love that you brought up Kurosh Dini's The Visit, because again, it's transformational for me too. The idea that we can move something forward at its just smallest increment by just touching it, by just being
Mhm.
present with it for a moment
Mhm.
is is good enough. Maybe
Yeah.
for that day, it's good enough. And it can feel like settling or laziness, but it's not. And
Mhm.
that's a reality you get to earn too.
Mhm. Well, and it was interesting because when I was doing my own research on this show, uh, something came across that I thought was really interesting, and that was, is good enough giving up, right? Like, are those the same things? Pete, you're frozen. Am I frozen?
You're good. Keep
Oh,
going.
okay. Now you're there. Okay. Um, So when I was doing the research on the show myself, I came across something that I thought was a really interesting phrase or question. Is good enough giving up? What's the difference between good enough and giving up? And are they the same thing? And I think that, like, going to your point, that's what people have kind of embedded in their brains, is that, well, if I as less than, right, like, it's not,
Mhm.
I'm not giving my best, and so it's kind of giving up on something. um but what I thought was so interesting when I dug a little bit deeper into this, giving up comes from that defeat, right, of I can't do this, so I'm stopping. Although I think sometimes giving up is better for you in a lot of ways, right? Especially if it's
Yeah.
like self-sabotaging your mental health, and, like, sometimes it's not a bad thing. But giving up is coming from that defeat. Good enough, and I think this is really important to understand, is coming from intention. It's not a moment that you just sort of impulsively decided that this was enough. Like, it actually comes from intention. This is done enough for me to move forward. Excuse me. This is done enough for me to move forward. Um, I'm good with what I've done here. I've done the best I can. Like, it's kind of coaching yourself through it, right? Like, also reminding yourself that perfection doesn't really exist. I'm choosing this to be good enough and for me to walk away from it.
It makes me think about the not so subtle differences between ending something and finishing something,
Right.
right? I am good enough means I've reached the end of my contribution to this task.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Finishing something may be different, right? It may be I know in my heart of hearts, if I had more attentional fortitude, I could probably do more for this project.
Mm-hmm.
But I've reached the stage where I'm done. I am
Right.
ending my contribution to it. And I think there's something to that, and I try to think about that when I reach the point of no return on projects. Have I reached
Mhm.
the end, or am I really finished? And which is worse? Because it's different depending on what activity you're doing.
Well, and it goes back to I think, who are you comparing yourself to, or who are you worried about in this situation? Because when I think about, like, especially, well, and I've been thinking about organizing a lot because of the declutter challenge that's going on right
Sure.
now. So, I've got this garage again. Oh my God, it never goes away.
That's 16 years.
Yes, it's still there, folks, and it's still the pain of my existence. It's there, always there, creeping up with stuff. But that's the thing, is when I do go to clean it up, what is good enough? I could always do more. I could probably always buy more things, like containers and things like that. But at some point, I have to say, this is good enough because I can walk to my car. It's good enough because I can park my car in there. It's good enough because I can find the hammer that I need at the moment that I need the hammer. Right. And so it's for us and our family. If I start thinking about, well, what if, like, the photographers of real simple magazine come by the cul-de-sac
Hmm.
and they want to take a picture of my home and it's not ready for that. Like, that's never going to happen,
Right.
or no one's going to actually come in and judge, how tidy everything is. It just has to be functional. So what's good enough to make it functional?
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
giving up that idea that this is what it's got to look like for it to be finished. What does finished mean? When can you walk away?
And this is something that in our day-to-day sort of human interactions with the stuff of our life, we don't actually take into account, right? If I go into a client project, for example,
Hmm.
I usually have some sort of a definition of the project that defines when it's finished, right?
Hmm.
When will I know we've been successful? When all of the check boxes are
Are
checked
checked.
and the standards have been met. And we set that up before the project begins, right? And in life, we don't often do that. So we move forward, we just start with a amorphous sort of idea of what we think would feel good at the end of this project. But because things move at the pace at which they move, we don't actually know when that's going to happen because our sense of what's going to feel good changes and evolves over time. And that's something that we don't take into account when we start projects, which gets back to this. I'm ending my contribution to the project because I've reached this point of feeling good enough versus I'm finished with the project, which is something I cannot ever define if I never really defined what finishing means in the first place.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
we have a choice about that. Like we can start every declutter project with a definition of success that says when I'm done, this wall will be covered with storage bins, this wall will be covered with hooks, the ceiling will have the appropriate ropes and pulleys. I don't know what you have in your garage anymore.
I don't
Maybe
either.
the hole in the ceiling where you fell through it will get repaired. I don't know.
It's still
Um,
not.
it's still not. But that's what I'm getting to. Like we really could start with a project definition that says
Yeah.
this is what finished is going to look like, and then we could work to meet that and build out the project plan to meet those. We just don't do that. That's not an ADHD skill. We
Right.
we unless your brand of hyperfocus is devouring project plans,
Yeah.
and you might be that person, right? That's
Right.
fine. Most of us don't
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
our project, and that is okay. That's its own version of good enough.
And I think it's okay too, because when you brought up the ceiling when I fell through it. And it's hard not to laugh talking about that. What's really, putting things in perspective, that's never going to get fixed until we're ready to sell this house. I
Yeah.
can guarantee you that. And I'm okay with that. It's just going to sit there like it is. And then when we need to sell this house for whatever reason, we'll fix it then.
Yeah.
And that's letting go of it having to be a certain way. It's
Yeah.
fine for me and And my husband and like my kids don't even notice it. They probably don't even remember. Well, they do remember it because it was, especially my daughter, but
Because it was
she was there.
hysterical.
She was there. Yeah. But one thing I have to say, so people that are just listening to this, we have our Patreon members who message in Discord as we're doing the live show. And what's very funny is Melissa said, well, you have been featured in Real Simple before. And I just have
That's
to
true.
say, it was not photos of my house. Thank God. It was just an interview where I had to answer some questions. So anyway, just had to
I will say,
out.
Melissa
it was not
is
in my house.
Yeah. Melissa is the official historian of the show, and
She
thank
really
God
is.
she is here.
I know. She's the historian and you're the researcher.
Okay.
You got everything covered.
I really love all this, and I want to bring it back to a friend of the show, Kristen Neff, who has the three components of self-compassion that are really foundational to some of the sort of social science around ADHD: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. And as summarized in a write-up on this on Chad, self-compassion reduces anxiety, depression, and stress. It improves motivation because it leaves room to fall short, to redirect, and to persist. This is the sort of foundational thinking behind the closing idea that finishing imperfectly, I'm going to start that again, finishing imperfectly. I'm not even going to finish that sentence. I'm going to say it again. Finishing imperfectly is how you build trust with yourself. Oh,
because
my goodness.
You get to say it's finished.
Yes.
You get to say that. You get to check it off. That's beautiful.
Yep. Okay. Well, that was a slight.
We're like, okay. She said it all. No.
She said it all. She said it all perfectly, and I think that's the what's really interesting is that when you map that to your inner sense of perfection, which is itself mapped to this inner sense of loss and shortcoming that we have grown up with, and that's a picture we paint of ourselves. We get to realize that perfection itself doesn't exist, right? It's just another thing that we haven't been able, another rung we haven't been able to climb to. And once we realize that there are no rungs, that is enormously liberating.
It is.
There are no rungs. There are no spoons.
Guess what we do have?
I have no idea.
We have a free download.
No.
Yes.
I'm shocked, we have a
free download, and it's how to decide what's good enough. And there's a set of questions because, we always like to have those little kind of, what are they called? Little probes, right? Like, how do I know? How do I know if this is good enough? And so this download has 5 questions, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, there's 5. I said that without actually seeing a number. So I'm glad I got that right.
It's so good. Yeah.
Does it do what it needs to do? So that's the function question, right? Maybe not perfectly, but is it serving its purpose? Who is the perfect version for? We talked about this. Is it for you? Is it for an imaginary critic that you're trying to silence? That's that permission slip, going back to who's giving you permission. What's the cost of waiting? Is it more time, more energy? Is it more shame? We don't need that more in our lives. What would you tell a friend? Wraps back up to compassion, right? What would you tell someone if they were in this situation? Would you tell them that it wasn't good enough? Right? You probably would not be mean about it. What would it feel like to call this done? Wraps back into what we were talking about with finishing. Now, see, you said it like 3 times. Finishing imperfectly. They all wrap into what we've talked about today.
Yeah.
So go get that download. Right. How do you decide what's good enough? Give you a
click in the show notes. There's a link. There's a link in there. You click it, you'll be able to get the download. It's pretty straightforward. It's kind of how the internet works.
The
internet. It's good. This was I think satisfying for me to think about and to just It so happens that I've been doing this research project on our own archive of the show, and found so many wonderful resources like Kristen Neff's piece that are really, really great. And we've come to a point where we've done so many shows that it's a little bit muddy to remember all of the people who have crossed our path.
Oh my gosh!
It turns out there's
Don't
a lot
ask
in the good
me.
enough category. Yeah,
I don't know.
So.
I don't know. We've done a lot of these.
I think we should call this show. Would you call it good enough?
I think so. I think
Okay.
it's good enough.
I think we're
I'm ready
finished
to
with intention.
part ways.
Because this has been good enough. Go get the download. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. We appreciate you downloading and listening to this show. Thank you for your time and your attention. Don't forget, if you have something to contribute to the conversation, we're heading over to the Show Talk channel on our Discord server, and you can join us right there by becoming a supporting member at the deluxe level or better at patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll see you right back here next week on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.